This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to the Handicappers Report on this Thursday morning. I'm Seth Merrill, joined by Jeff Carl. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Seth. A lot of ice on the windshield this morning. It's getting a little brisk up here in the 518.
It has gotten to that point of the year where I go out before I go upstairs and take my shower, fire up the car, get the defroster going. Yeah, it is that time of year. But we made it in, and Jeff will be taking a look at Aqueduct a little later on. I'll kick things off early in the show with Churchill Downs. Do want to alert folks, if you're interested, head down here to the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. This afternoon, we are going to have a knockout challenge contest. The winner will get, not bad, a $100 win, place, or show bet on the 8th race at Aqueduct today. The contest is races 2 through 7 at Aqueduct. And I must admit, Jeff, I have never been in one of the knockout challenges because we're not allowed to be in the OTB contest. But I believe it's the show Viver type of a situation where you pick a horse in the money, progress to the next race.
Like an elimination kind of type thing. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And that, again, that'll be here at the Clubhouse Racebook. You must be present to win. But come on down. The winner, $100 win, place, or show bet on the 8th race. So that's even more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And, $300.
Also want to remind people, only 100. It's a win, place, or show bet.
Oh, okay.
So that's what makes it interesting. Now you got to take your 100 and decide, where do I go with it? Do I go conservative with the show bet, or do I try to knock it out of the park with the win
I'd go
bet?
for it. I would just go for it.
I would too. Want to remind people our last edition of the monthly handicapping contest, the official handicapping contest we have down here. As I say, the knockout challenge is just a fun thing for this afternoon. But the December version of the handicapping contest will come up on December 7th. Wanted to alert you to that. It is the Capital Cup Championship. Winner receives a prize package, including a seat to the NTRA Daily Racing Forum Challenge down there in Las Vegas. Advanced registration is encouraged. Sign up by December 6th to guarantee your spot. There's a $200 entry fee, maximum of 3 entries per person. Find out more information on capitalotb.com. But again, that last version of our handicapping competition here, the monthly handicapping contest, the Capital Cup on December 7th. Do also want to note, people, as I came in today, I saw a flyer out there. I thought I would alert people. New Partners 8-Ball Pool League is forming right down here at the Clubhouse Racebook. All kinds of fun things going.
Yeah,
that boxing matches last Monday. And so if you're into playing some pool, an 8-Ball Pool League is now forming. It will be Thursday nights starting December 5th. The first matches will start on 6:30 on those evenings. Again, that's down here at the Clubhouse Racebook. You can come on down, get some more info, and sign up. Again, that kicks off the 8-Ball Pool League on Thursday, December 5th. Should be fun. All right, some racing news we'll touch on just briefly before we get to the handicapping. Royal Delta retired. And when the news came out, I was actually on the radio yesterday with Steve Bick on the Sirius XM radio show. He announced it. He had seen a tweet announcing the retirement, and I said, not really surprising given the last two. And her age, I mean, it was just lucky we saw her come back this year. And early in the year, Dubai, obviously not, but the Delaware Handicap, we saw her win the personal ensign up at Saratoga. So she put in some very nice performances. We got to see her come back for an extra season. After the 2 performances she ended the season with, it's not surprising in that, given her age, that she's going to the sidelines now.
Yeah, I mean, a great job by Bill Mott keeping this mare going as long as she has. And, nature, nature starts to take over. And at some point, they really do want to be mommies, most of them. And I actually thought when she got beat in the Florida League at Churchill Downs this spring, coming back from Dubai, that maybe she was starting to, regress a little bit. Maybe nature was taking over. But then she threw in, like I said, a dynamic performance in the Delaware Handicap, which the field wasn't all that tough, albeit. But then she won the personal ensign. So I thought, well, maybe I was wrong. But, eventually I think that's just a good job, fantastic job by trainer Bill Mott to keep her at that peak. And then you can see her starting to regress a little bit her last 2 races, but she owes nobody anything. She's a tremendous mare, going to be bred to Galileo. And so she's just, it's sad to see her go, but I think we might see her plaque in the Hall of Fame one day.
And being bred, as you say, to Galileo, it'll be interesting to see what the offspring does, because oftentimes these champion race mares do not duplicate themselves on the track. That's not always the case, but it certainly will be interesting to see, because that is dynamic breeding, no question about it. So what do we have? Maybe 3 years down the road we can expect to see this one, or probably about 4 years down the road.
Yeah, well, I know my Facebook page is lit up all the time with Rachel Alexandra's babies and Zenyatta babies, so I know we're going to get loaded with the Royal Delta babies too, and it's just, it's exciting. It keeps people interested, and it's nice to see these mares go on.
And I remember years and years ago when I was first starting to follow the game, I was watching The Tonight Show, and to say how long ago this was, I'm pretty sure it was still with Johnny Carson. And the actor Dick Van Patten came on, who was a known fan of horse racing. And he was on with his son, Vince, who for a while there was hosting one of those poker tournament shows. So I think he's got the gambling side in his blood too. But at some point they started talking about horse racing, and Vince, the son, said, yeah, I go out to the racetrack, and my dad will look down the program, and he'll look at the sire and say, oh, yeah, I remember when this horse ran in this race, and then he'll look at the grandsire and remember that and that and that. And Vince said, I can't believe, that he remembers all these horses and goes that far back. And as he's talking about this, I'm thinking, that is pretty amazing that, well, now I'm in that boat. Because you get these horses like Royal Delta, and they'll have the offspring, and, a few years down the road, you'll look back and go, oh, I remember when Royal Delta. But I'm in the boat where I can point to some of them in the program now and go, oh, I remember that one, and that one, and that one. Which, again, adds some fun to the game. You enjoy them when they're on the track, but then when the offspring come, it brings back some good memories as well.
Yeah, and the expectations, like we said, are so high for these horses. It's a really high bar to reach.
Absolutely.
Let's hopefully, hopefully they just get to the races sound and healthy and provide some excitement.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, let's shift our attention to the handicapping portion of the program. As noted, Jeff will look at Aqueduct a little later on. I will kick things off taking a look at the Thursday afternoon program at Churchill.
The opener at Churchill Downs is 5.5 furlongs. It is a claiming event for 2-year-old fillies. They're in for a claiming price of $20,000.
I have this one 3, 1, 7, and 4. The number 3 is Something Blue. One on the drop in the move to dirt last time. This is just one of those, between my top two, I wasn't quite sure which way to go. But this is a horse that, to me, looks like last time out, they dropped down. They were shopping for a win in the second career start. They found what may be lower than the comfort zone, because they opened up the career at a 25,000 tag on the turf. Moved to the dirt. They moved down for 12,500, won there, and won pretty convincingly. So I think the comfort zone may be somewhere in the middle, or it just maybe this horse is a little better on dirt. I don't think this 20 is going to be a problem today. Claimed out of that race last time, moves up off the claim, but I have a suspicion this horse is going to be a good fit with this bunch. And again, the second spot is a horse that I thought was right in the mix with my top pick. The number 1, Lady Caroline, a couple of decent buyer figures over the last two. Was entered yesterday, but was scratched, so we'll run today, presumably. Lady Caroline, again, a couple of nice 50 buyer figures. Indiana in a little stakes race, 2 back, which was a nice third, and ran second here at Churchill last time. But on the numbers, I think this is, I'm not going to say second best, because I'm almost equally intrigued by both of my top 2 picks in here. I just slightly tilted in the favor of Something Blue. So Something Blue on top, Lady Caroline on top, underneath, and I think those two have a little bit of an edge on the rest. But in the third spot, I put the number 7, Lego My Borrego. This horse could be a little bit dangerous. Also dropping in condition, as Lady Caroline is taking a little bit of a drop. And again, it was a stakes race, 2 races back, 40 claimer last time, so it drops to 20. Lego My Borrego also taking a little bit of a class drop, perhaps off the maiden $30,000 win. Now the 20 come back, but it is an open 20, so a little bit questionable. But I'm going to think, looking at the rest of the field, this is a little bit of class relief, perhaps, for Lego My Borrego. But in the opener, I have it 3, 1, 7, and 4.
Let's go to the Churchill Downs second race. It's 5.5 furlongs. It is a maiden claiming event. For 2-year-old fillies, they're in for a claiming price of $40,000 down to $35,000.
And I have to work a little bit here because with the new daily racing form, there is that much information in between the pages of race number 2. So page 1 of race number 2, there's probably about 30 pages until I get to page 3 of race number 2. Churchill Downs second race, I have 5, 1, 8, and 6. The number 5 is Ben's Juliet. First-time starter from Brad Cox. Brad Cox is a trainer. Well, if you haven't been paying attention, down in that Midwest, maybe the Oaklawn. He had been training for a regular with Midwest Thoroughbreds, of course, the very prominent owner, and doing very well. He's putting in some pretty good numbers here at Churchill Downs. He does okay first time out of the box. I think there's perhaps a little bit of breeding here. So we'll put Ben's Juliet on top. Second spot, we'll go to the number 1, a horse who's had some starts so far in the career. The 2 starts over in Indiana were pretty good. Threw in a dud at Churchill when dropped in for a tag. That's a concern. Was the favorite that day, but at 3-1 in a field of 10, I think a 3-1 favorite tells you it was a field that was fairly competitive, but it was a dud after showing a little bit of punch early in the race. I'm going to kind of lay that on the fact that it was a sloppy sealed track. Hope that's it, and this isn't just a real negative horse for a course. It may be a fact that Wife in the Wind just doesn't like the Churchill strip. We'll find out more about that today, but those 2 races at Indiana showed a little bit of talent. So I'll put Wife in the Wind in the mix and hope for a little rebound on a less than sloppy and sealed track. And then the number 8, Shoot the Drone. A couple of career starts so far. Maiden Special over at Indiana was a decent number anyway, excuse me. And then the follow-up was a little bit of a dud over here at Churchill. As far as the number regressed fairly significantly. I'm going to look for a rebound closer to the career debut number today. But again, there's some question marks in here. It's horses that are first-time starters where the breeding doesn't necessarily jump off the page at me. The horses who've had some starts, I think you can make some cases for and against. It's one of those races. So I'll go with a first-time starter with Brad Cox, who, as I say, decent first time out of the box, and a guy who have been paying attention to for the past 9 months or so, I would think. And so Ben's Juliet, Brad Cox in his corner. We'll put that one on top. In the second, I have it 5, 1, 8, and 6.
Yeah, I like that angle of going with a first-time starter in those maiden claiming events because, you don't have to be a world beater,
yeah.
And sometimes they're very, very well meant. Moving along to the Churchill Downs third race, I'm going to move to the turf course. It is 1 mile. It is an allowance race for 2-year-olds which have never won 2 races.
6, 5, 2, and 4. The number 6 is Son of a Preacher. Goes out for Brett Calhoun, and the career debut was pretty good. Nice 76 buyer and a win first time out of the box. Not only that, it was right here on the Churchill Downs strip. So it's shown an affinity for Churchill Downs. Now, that was on the dirt. This moves over to the turf, but still down there at Churchill Downs, stable down at Churchill Downs, has run well in the area. So this is a horse that moves from maiden special weight in against winners today, but I think won that first race convincingly enough that Son of a Preacher looks like the one to beat. Second spot, My Gal Sal. Now this one has grass experience and decent grass experience. Broke the maiden 2 back with a good number and then followed up in a nice second place against limited winners. Got some education with the move out of the maiden ranks last time. So I think My Gal Sal is going to be absolutely legitimate in here. And then School on a Hill, 5-1 on the morning line. The Wayne Catalano trainee may better this rating. Was in a little bit over its head perhaps in the last 2 races, which were graded stakes. Broke the maiden in the career debut at Arlington, and then maybe they just got a little bit ambitious in the last 2. Drops back into the proper level today and may get the wake-up call with that little bit of class relief. So in the third at Churchill, I have it 6, 5, 2, and 4.
That's going to take us to the 4th race at Churchill Downs. It's 6 furlongs. It is a claiming event for 3 and up. They're in for a claiming price of $7,500.
7, 6, 8, and 2. The number 7 is Can You Let Me Down Easy? It's one of those where you have to hope it retains the fitness from the previous trainer. This is a first off the claim angle. Was claimed from Brett Calhoun, is clearly a Midwest trainer that fires at a very high percentage. Now moves into the barn of a trainer that is not quite as high percentage, but claimed 1 week ago. So I'm hoping that Brett Calhoun fitness is still going to be there. If it is, I think this horse is probably going to be logical today. 9-5 on the morning line. But again, it's a little questionable on trainer switch. That is not a positive trainer switch necessarily. But again, the quick turnaround says to me the Brett Calhoun training still may be ingrained. Second spot, the number 6, Cowboy Cody. 3 of the last 4 have been pretty solid numbers, at least with regard to this particular field. I think if you go down and see those 70 buyer figures, and as I say, 3 of the last 4, they're going to fit very, very well with this bunch in here today. And then the number 8, Bullsaboy. I think this horse seems consistent and should fit here, but this is a first off the claim horse for a trainer with only 3 starts this year, no wins, and also the owner. So Jeff, I'm wondering if this is one of those hobby horses.
One of your hobby horses.
It just has that kind of a look to it. So again, on the numbers and the consistency, I think this horse is interesting, but the trainer with only 3 starts this year, the backstory is maybe a little bit of an unknown. We'll find out a little bit more today with Bullsaboy. In the 4th race, 7, 6, 8, and 2.
Moving along to the 5th race at Churchill Downs. It's a 1 1/16. It's another claiming event for 3 and up, and they're in for a claiming price of $5,000.
4, 1, 3, and 2. The number 4 is Dynamic Knight. One at this level off the claim for some crafty connections. They Maggie Moss and Chris Richard, 2 starts back, claimed this horse. That was the middle of the September meet here at Churchill. Laid off while they were over at Keeneland and then came back early in this current meet for the 5 tag. Won that day in a gritty performance. Comes right back in a very similar race today. A little bit more of a stretch out, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Again, crafty connections will trust them to have this horse ready to go. Dynamic Knight on top. And at 7-2, I think you're getting some decent value there, perhaps. Number 1, Sporting Gent in the 2nd spot. Speaking of crafty connections, hey, how about Mike Maker and Kenneth Sarah Ramsey? First off the claim for those connections. For me, though, the question mark here, 2-1 on the morning line. I think this horse will take a lot of action with those names involved. But the surface switch is the question mark. I think the numbers fired recently are good enough to be up in this mix, but they were on synthetics over at Keeneland and Arlington Park. The dirt numbers going back are okay, and I think you can see some opportunity to get up there and be firing winning type of numbers here. So I've got it right in under the mix. But again, I was just maybe a little bit concerned about the surface switch today, but I certainly think Sporting Gent is eligible to be up in the hunt, particularly, again, first off the claim for Maker and Ramsey. 3rd spot, the number 3, Above the Curve. Just seems to be in some pretty good form right now. Last 3 starts, a couple of second-place finishes, bookend a win. The buyer figures are moving forward in all 3 of those starts. I think fits well at this 5,000 level. Above the Curve will definitely be up in the hunt in some fashion or another. So in the 5th at Churchill this afternoon, I have it 4, 1, 3, and 7.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say the Ramseys play this game very well.
Very well.
I'd have to say they're a lock to win. Eclipse Award winner.
It would seem so. I mean, I'm sure they were super disappointed not to come up with something on Breeders' Cup weekend,
Right.
But I think they'd almost sewn it up before that.
When you stretch it out for the year round, it's just out of this world what they've accomplished this year. First 5 races at Churchill Downs in the book. That's going to take us to our first break. When we come back, we'll finish out today's Churchill Downs card. So please stay tuned. You're watching the OTB TV Network.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right, the 2013 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes and a seat at the 2014 National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month, the Capital Cup on December 7th. So sign up today online at capitalotb.com or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook. And don't forget our Showviver Series, Capital OTB's online handicapping contest. I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. Seth, at the top of the show, we talked about some of these great mares that go on and how interesting it is to see, their babies run.
And you've got a much better story than Vince Van Patten.
Several years ago, my wife and I met some friends of ours at the races in Saratoga. And these aren't hardcore racing people, but we met them back there in the picnic area, and we were having a great time. And they're asking me my opinion on a certain race, and I'm just kind of looking through the program, and I went, "Oh, I rode this horse's mother." And Chrissy said to me, she looked at me, she goes, "Jeff, if I didn't know you were a former jockey, that would have a completely different meaning altogether." So it was just one of them funny things. And then, of course, the conversation really went downhill from there.
Yeah, we can imagine.
But the horse didn't run any good, and the mother wasn't much either. So moving along to the Churchill Downs 6 race, back to the turf course, mile and a 16th. It is a starter allowance for fillies and mares, which have started for a claiming price of $16,000 or less since May 1st of 2012.
We got to have a little guy over here sitting on the side with the drum and the rim shot. But I'm pumped. The 6th, the Churchill Downs this afternoon, 5, 11. The 11 is an AE, so we'll keep our eyes on that. 5, 11, 10, and 9. The number 5 is Fine Looking Lady. Was in her starter allowance 16 last time, so a very similar race, and was a very close second in that event. So again, I run into these every once in a while where horses come out of races that are really essentially the same race, maybe just a little tweak here or there, but have run very well, if not won. And I look and say, well, if they did so well last time in a very similar situation, why not jump back on board today? That is the case with Fine Looking Lady. And given that, I think the 7-2 looks very generous. We'll go out again on the AE, but it is the first horse on the AE list, the number 11, Honey Hughes. If this one gets in, morning line 2-1 favorite in here. Took the lead and faded to finish behind my top pick last time. Now, this one's 2-1, Fine Looking Lady 7-2. There may be a little bit of a what have you done for me lately kind of thing in here, though. In my thinking, this one did finish 4th, but it was as the 3-5 favorite. If you go back, there are some very good numbers there that if this horse bounces back to will justify the favoritism. But I've said it on the show, I said it a couple of days ago. A lot of times we look at these kind of races and we try to get a little too clever and switch things up, and they wind up running just the same as they did last time. So that's kind of the angle I'm going with here. I'm not going to get too clever. Fine Looking Lady ran in front of Honey Hughes last time, so I'm going to look for a similar situation today. Hope those odds hold up and we get a little value. 5 on top, 11 underneath if that one gets in, and then the number 10, Baltoro, who just has some nice improving numbers. A couple of second place finishes in the last 2 starts on the synthetics at both Presque Isle and Keeneland. I think that indicates that in the first turf start of the career, Baltoro should do okay. So we'll throw that one in the mix again on what looks like some nice improving form. In the 6th, the Churchill this afternoon, I have it 6, 11, 10, and 9.
Moving along to the 7th at Churchill Downs, it is 7 furlongs. It's an allowance event for 3 and up, which have never won a race other than maiden, claiming, or start.
5, 6, 1, and 8. The number 5 is Positively, who certainly likes this track in 9 career starts, has been in the money 7 times, and just might prove interesting on the cutback. I do like the horses cutting back from a couple of turns to a sprint or a 1-turn race. And on the cutback, again, Positively, you look at the numbers, the buyer figures, I think you can pick out some races that certainly stack up very, very well with the rest of this particular field. Affinity for the track, cut back, some good numbers, Positively on top for me. 2nd spot, we will go with the number 6, Valdina Saint. Lightly raced, but has shown some potential. Goes out for Brett Calhoun. Only 3 career starts. Debuted last December down at Fairgrounds. Ran a 5th there as the favorite, but it was one of those races, probably got some education. or maybe something went wrong, but I kind of think probably got some education out of that race, and then subsequently something probably went wrong because the finish in the race wasn't bad enough to think that things got tweaked up there. But again, it was the kind of race that would benefit going forward. Sure enough, off the layoff, the comeback race this past September was a close-up second, then broke the maiden last time. Buyer figures moving forward, nice workouts underneath. Again, says to me that the very lightly raced Valdina Saint could have some talent. And so we'll throw this one in the mix, and would not shock me at all if it moved forward again and won this race. But I think Valdina Saint is going to prove to be dangerous. And then the number 1, Tiz Adonis, might benefit from the 2-month layoff. Now, this horse up at Saratoga, a nice second-place finish in an allowance race back at the end of July. Followed that up at the very end of the meet on September 1st, running a poor 6th over a sloppy sealed track. That was such an aberration that I'm going to look for a rebound to the better numbers, and I think it's the kind of a situation where maybe, as I say, the layoff will be a benefit, and this horse will just get its head screwed back on right and it rebound to those nice numbers. And that, if so, we'll be right up in the hunt. 7th race at Churchill today, 5, 6, 1, and 8.
That's going to take us to the 8th at Churchill Downs. It is 1 mile. It is a maiden special weight event for fillies and mares 3 and up.
And I'm separating up my one entry in here, so do note if one half or the other goes, I'm not using them in the same spot. I'm separating them just lightly here in the 1st and 3rd positions. I have it 1A, 9, the 1, and 5. If one or the other of the entry goes out, I would also consider throwing in the 7 as in my potential 4th spot. But on top, I have the number 1A, Late Surge, was entered yesterday at Laurel and scratched. I think it was a main track only in the turf race yesterday, but winds up in this event for George Weaver. The buyer figures moving forward nicely. Kind of stuck in a 3rd place finish mode in the first 3 starts, but moved forward to finish 2nd last time. Well beaten by an easy winner, but this one was a gritty 2nd in that race. So again, seems to be moving in the right direction. Has been up on the NYRA circuit in the first 4 career starts. I think this horse is going to be a good fit with this bunch today. And as I say, in some nice improving form over the first 4 starts. So we'll put the 1A on top. We'll go to the number 9, Sanea, in the 2nd spot. This one was a close-up 2nd place in a maiden special weight last time. Long-time loser, essentially, 9 career starts, no wins, but 6 times in the money. But that last one, to me, seemed to indicate perhaps a little bit of improvement overall. We'll hope. Now strings a couple of races together, which this one hasn't done for a while over the past season. Again, you can't get super excited about the horse with a bunch of lines underneath and no wins, but Sanaya will get in the 2nd spot for me. We'll see what happens. It's one of those races where I think you can make some arguments for and against a few of these. The number 1, Adventure at Sea, again, if one or the other goes, this one will be in the 3rd spot for me, but those races up at Woodbine most recently, late summer and then in the middle of October, I think fired numbers that are good enough to be competitive here. The question mark will be the surface, but I'm hoping, we go back to a race at Churchill back in May on the main track, showed a little bit of oomph. The number was light, but I think this horse is better now than it was then. And if one or the other of those scratches, again, I would put the number 5 in the mix also, Gigglin' Gal, who last time out threw in a decent race down here at Churchill Downs, has shown a little bit of affinity for the track in a couple of starts, so that one would get in my mix as well. Again, I have the one entry separated up, so I'd go 1A, 9, the plain 1, and 5, and if one of those ones goes out, move up the 7 into the mix as well.
There you have it. We're going to move along to race number 9 at Churchill Downs. It is 1 mile on the turf. It is an entry-level allowance race, 3 and up.
And I have a 2, and I just didn't write down my numbers, so I'm scrambling here. 2, 11, and the 11 is an AE, 9 and 1, 2, 11, 9 and 1. And the 2 is, if you watch the show enough, you know I'm a big Jonathan Shepard guy, but one of the main components I really like is when Shepard tosses out an Augustin stable runner. Well, over the past couple of seasons, Graham Motion has gotten some Augustin runners as well. So I like, as much as I like Shepard, I also like the Augustin name when I see it, and I think the number 2 I'll call. Master of the obvious here, 8 to 5 on the morning line, and I think that price because of the numbers this one is showing in the last 3 races. They're moving forward, and I think particularly the last couple of races give this one a little bit of a buyer edge on most of the rest of this field. So again, I'll call, I think, a logical favorite in here. Second spot, again, we're going out to the AE list, the number 11, Batting the Hatches, but it's the first horse on the AE list, so probably stands a decent chance of getting in. This horse, I had a horse in a couple of races ago that was stuck getting some third place finishes and finally had turned it around in the prior race running second. Well, this one again, and as I like to say, I don't know if this is what you would call the bridesmaid role. This is more the bridal party. Can't get better than third over the last 3 or 4 races actually, but another one that I think on the numbers maybe just has a little bit of an edge on most of the rest of this field. So I think if Batting the Hatches gets into the mix, we'll move up from the bridal party to perhaps the bridesmaid role behind I'll Call. And then the number 9, Bingo Kitten. It is Ken and Sarah Ramsey, this time going out for Wayne Catalano. But I think this horse, lightly raced, I don't know whether we've seen the ceiling yet, because I just don't think that last race is believable. That just looks like too much of a dud for me to think was indicative of what we'll see from this horse. The career debut was a win over at Kentucky Downs, flopped at Keeneland, but I have to think that the horse had a stomach ache that day or something. I think we'll see a little bit better and closer probably to what we saw in the career debut. So in the 9th at Keeneland, or Churchill, 2, 11, 9, and 1.
That's going to take us to the finale at Churchill Downs, the 10th race at 6 furlongs. It's a claiming event for fillies and mares 3 and up, which have never won 2 races. Claiming price of $7,500.
4, 5, 10, and 2. The number 4 is With Diamonds. Goes out for Mike Maker, Ken and Sarah Ramsey. And it's just one of those that looks like a Ramsey drop down for a win. This horse is getting some serious class relief. Had been competitive at 15 last time. Cuts the price in half. And again, I think they're shopping for a win here in the finale today at Churchill Downs. With Diamonds on top. Pure Delight in the 2nd spot. This is another horse that's getting some class relief in here, and I think will be a very, very good fit. Question mark is the layoff since mid-August. At this 7,500 level, might need a start to kind of get the fitness level back. And we're not showing a lot of workouts underneath to lay a lot of confidence on the fitness level. So might need one, but may be able to overcome that just on the drop in class. And then in the 3rd spot, we will go to the number 10, Unbridled Destiny. Took the drop down to the $7,500 level last time and ran a good second after showing some early speed for Paul McGee. I think that'll probably be the game plan again today, and I think Unbridled Destiny will be up in the mix again today also. So in the 10th, the finale at Churchill, 4, 5, 10, and 2.
And there you have it. Seth's picks for today's Churchill Downs 10 race card. That's going to take us to our next break. When we come back, I'll give you my selections for Aqueduct. So please stay tuned. You're watching the OTB TV Network.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Listen to what people are saying about the Clubhouse Racebook.
I've been coming here for well over 30 years to the OTB, and I think this is an outstanding facility. Probably comparable to something you'd see in Vegas. They have the big screens there, and then they have the auxiliary screens for, watching all the tracks. And the primary tracks of the day, they'll switch to the big screens, which is ideal for most of us race guys. We like to see the big races on the big screen. Well done.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Thursday morning. Seth Merrow and Jeff Carl. I just took a look at Churchill for Thursday afternoon. We'll now shift our attention down to the New York City area and Aqueduct for the Thursday afternoon. Their opener is an allowance optional claimer, actually an optional claimer starter allowance at the $50,000 level. These are 2-year-old fillies. They will go 6 furlongs.
And they're listed fast and good at Aqueduct today. The 9th race is off the turf. All other turf races that were scheduled will be run 9th race off the turf. In the opener, I'm going to go 6-3 with a 1 entry. The number 6, Alpaca Fina. You know, she's 8-5, and she just really does fit this condition well. The condition being for fillies 2 years, which have started for a claim price of $50,000 or less, and which have never won a race other maiden claiming a starter. And this filly broke her maiden for $50,000 in her career debut. Late September at Belmont, was claimed that day by David Jacobson, subsequently ran in the Sharp Cat Stakes and was a very nice third. So, you know, she's already stakes placed at 8-5. I really couldn't go past her. She's posted well on the outside. You know, to make it somewhat interesting, try to find a horse I can hook up with a decent exacta. I took a look at the number 3, Fast and Firm. She's 12-1 in the morning line, and she wasn't betting her debut. She went off 20-1 for a $32,000 tag of Woodbine, which makes her eligible for this condition. She broke slowly that day, but still won drawing away. And when horses, you know, when they win first time out, they have that innate ability. They know what their job is. So you know what, at 12-1, maybe there's still room for improvement. She's been moved into the barn of Jimmy Ryerson, who I think is a very underrated trainer. He's got several in today that I like. I think he does a very, very good job. Flies a little bit under the radar, doesn't have, like, you know, a ton of high pedigree horses, but does very well with the stock that he gets. So 12-1 with Manny Franco on board. Let's put Fast and Firm in the second spot. And for third, the 1 entry of Foxbow and With Delight. David Jacobson, this is his other part. He also trains Alpaca Fina, my top choice. But this entry is owned by Paul Pompa. Manny Esquivel is named on both, the apprentice rider and Seth. Like you said, when you see these entries and same rider named on both, we don't know which one they're going to run. So we're trying to play that guessing game. You know, Jacobson also often puts entries in. Linda Rice often puts entries in. And we don't know exactly which ones they're going to run. So not only do we have to try to figure out what's going on in the jockey's heads, you have to figure out what's going on in the trainer's minds when they enter and which ones they're going to run. But Foxbow, the plain one, just broke his maiden for $50,000. Her maiden in her 4th start. So obviously eligible. With Delight, the 1A, broke her maiden at first asking at $25,000 at Calder. That was the end of August, hasn't run since. Again, either one I think is eligible to be on the board. The one I left off with just a little bit of hesitation was number 4, Chase My Tail. You know, she's in for the $50,000 portion of this race, the open claiming part, because she's never run for less than $50,000. But, you know, she's had some gait issues the last couple times. You know, broke slowly 2 starts back in the Salima at Laurel, then broke in a tangle in Parks. So, I mean, she's got some gait issues, and at 6 furlongs, so if she doesn't get off well, they might run away from her. 6-3, 1 entry in the Aqueduct first. But if she breaks well, she could be there.
Aqueduct second today is a B-level claimer, claiming tags 12,500. These are 3-year-olds and up. They'll go the 1-turn mile.
Yeah, this is one of those 3-part conditional claiming races. I went 6, 9, and 5. The number 6, Jade Run, fits the first part of this, where he's never won 3 races in his life. I'm not sure what's happened to this horse since he was a DQ winner in July at Saratoga. Just been absolutely horrible ever since. They moved him up to, that was an entry-level state bred allowance. He moved up to the next level and just never really got involved in any races whatsoever. They tried him on the turf last time for a $16,000 level. That didn't help, but you know what? Maybe the switch back to the main track, the 1-turn mile, the drop in price down to $12,500. Maybe it's enough to get Emmanuel Franco's aboard, who I think is doing an excellent job. Let's put Jade Run on top. For second, I'll go out to the number 9, Ia. We are very familiar with this horse. He's been freshened up since a badly beaten favorite in Saratoga the end of August. He fits the 3rd part of this condition, which states a horse that have not won a race on the dirt since May 21st of this year. His last win came in January 12th in the Coyote Lakes, that 1.5 mile marathon stakes race they run in January at Aqueduct. You know what? He is in for the 12-5 level. He's got plenty of back class. He's made almost $600,000. This is a big drop, but he should be able to get around there for a piece of it. And for third, I'm going to go with the number 5, Kings Village. He's exiting a 2-mile race at Mountaineer Park, Seth. I wonder how many times they have to go around to accomplish 2 miles. That was November 8th and a $10,000 starter. He's shortening up. He's a 7-year-old with 3 wins, and he easily fits his condition because I'm not exactly sure when he's won his last race. It was sometime in 2012. And I'm just looking for something with a little bit of value to throw in the mix. You know, let's just throw him in there at 15-1 because a lot of these horses have a lot of tread wear on them. And who's going to have a good day, who's not, I'm not exactly, we never know. But he's a little bit of a price. We'll put him in the mix, 6, 9, and 5.
The Aqueduct third race this afternoon, a conditional claimer, 12-5 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime. The condition, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, 3/4 of a mile a trip.
Yeah, and this is your basic never won 2 lifetime. There's no other real big provisions in here. I went 2, 7, and 1. The number 2, Rodinia, 1 for 19 lifetime, and it's 8-5 in the morning line, and with the rest of these probably should be. But you know, she spent most of her career with trainer Gary Siaka. She was claimed 5 starts ago by Jason Servers. I think that's a positive move. And Jason has done okay with this filly. I mean, hasn't won since he claimed her, but you know, run for 35,000, 20 beaten, and last time out in a state-bred allowance on the turf. Now it's dropping down to the 12-5, never won 2 life. It looks like a winning spot for her. You know, no issue. She's been running on turf, dirt. She seems to doesn't have a preference for either one. So at 8-5, let's throw her on top. For second, I have the number 7, Start It Up. I guess I'm staying pretty formful in this race. This one's 2-1 the morning line. You know, dropping down to the 12-5 level after running for 20,000, 2 starts back for 15,000, excuse me, never won 2 life. Was a very close third, only got beaten neck that day. They jumped her up to 20,000, a little bit high for her. Back down to 12-5, her proper level. So let's put her in the second spot. And for third, I went down to the inside to Group Therapy, who's 8-1 in your morning line. Group Therapy had a wide trip third last time out on November 18th, and that was for 15,000, never won 2 life. So kind of basically the same level, but breaking from the 1 hole today. Manuel Franco for Jenna Antonucci. Hopefully can be able to save some ground and get up there for a piece of it. 2, 7, and 1 in the Aqueduct third race.
Fourth race at Aqueduct this afternoon, maiden claiming event, $35,000 to $40,000 tags, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, scheduled on the grass at 1 1/16.
I went 12, 7, and 10 here. The number 12, Miss Livona. She's 15-1 in your morning line. She's had 2 career starts, both of them running 5.5 furlongs on the turf at Laurel Park. You know, Seth, maybe this was really an old school way of training this horse. It used to be that regardless of if you thought they were distance horses, you sprinted them twice before you went long. This is a daughter of Dixie Union out of a broad brush mare, so with that broad brush influence, should be able to handle today's stretch out. And what I like is the fact that, you know, she's run kind of evenly in those sprint races on the turf at Laurel Park. And I know one thing for sure, they definitely send them out of there. Third, her first time out, got beat 4.5 lengths. Next time out, she finished 6th, got beat 6 lengths. So she has that nice even running style. She has the pedigree to be able to stretch out. And I think maiden special weight to maiden 35,000 in New York, maiden special weight at Laurel to maiden 35,000 in New York, I think that's comparable. She's going to get some value up there at 15-1. So let's put her on top. For second, I'm going to go with the number 7, I'm Smoking Hot. Also going to be stretching out. This is a daughter of Scat Daddy, who we know is just doing a great job as a sire, and this one fits this level. She was second in her previous outing with a little bit of traffic issues. Again, she's been sprinting. She sprinted 4 times in her career, and now is going to stretch out. Should be able to handle the extra distance. Put her in the second spot. And for third, I'm going to go down to the inside to the number 2, Theater Star. Only 1 career start. That was back in April in the maiden special weight event at Aqueduct. Nice even effort. You know, Dale Romans is the trainer. This horse hasn't run in a long time, but did attract top rider Joel Rosario to ride this filly, so it kind of took my attention there. 12, 7, and 2 in the Aqueduct fourth race.
Very good. Race number 5 at Aqueduct this afternoon. Another optional claiming starter allowance, this time at the $12,000 level. These are 3-year-olds and up, 6 furlongs the distance.
Yeah, this is one of the multi-level condition races, and only the number 4 horse is in for the 12,500 portion. Everybody else is in for the starter allowance portion, which means they can't be taken. I went 8 with the 1 entry 3, the number 8 Tumul. Hasn't visited the winner's circle since February, and that was at Santa Anita at $40,000 level. But it's been close its last 4 races, and it was claimed for $25,000 back in Saratoga. It's been running in the optional claim for $16,000 level, kind of the same starter allowance level, same thing it's running right now. And I just like the way this horse is posted toward the outside. I got some positional speed. Mitch Friedman's the trainer. I think Mitch is another one of them trainers that kind of flies under the radar, does a very nice job. So I just think, although this one hasn't been in the winner's circle in a very long time, it should get a really nice setup today. There's plenty of speed toward the inside. Should be able to get good position from the outside post. Jose Lizcano on board. Let's look for Tumul to run him down late. For second, I'm going with the 3-headed monster from Linda Rice. She's got 3 horses in here: Alcomatch, Frazzle, and Bug Juice. Alcomatch, the plain one, and Bug Juice, the 1X, or both have Jose Ortiz named aboard. So again, we don't know which one she's going to keep in. Frazzle has Cornelio Velasquez aboard, who's his regular rider, so I'm assuming this one's going to stay in. Alcomatch, the plain one, has been freshened up since the claim. I think it's a little bit iffy with this one. Was claimed back in late July, but hasn't run since. That's a little bit of a warning flag for me when you claim a horse and you have to sit on him for a while. That's a little bit iffy. The 1X Bug Juice is coming back to dirt. Won a $25,000 state bred 2-back, was claimed out of it. Frazzle, just old tough horse, 14 wins to his career. He's always seems to be there. If you throw out his last race, his other ones are very, very, very good and should be able to fit well in here. So like I said, I'm thinking it's going to be Frazzle and Bug Juice that are going to run, Alcomatch not. We'll have to wait and see what's in Linda Rice's mind. But I have to put the entry in somewhere. For third, I'm going to go with the number 3, Moment's Notice. 9 to 5 in the morning line, Seth, and been very sharp at Indiana Downs in some starter allowance races and things like that. But you know what? I need to see how this horse fits here before I can put this one on top. Does attract top jockey Javier Castellano, but you know what, Seth? I'm going to need to see this horse run one time here in the NYRA circuit before I really know where it fits. So I'll put him in the mix, but I can't put him any higher than third. 8, 1 entry, and 3 in the Aqueduct 5th race.
All right, we'll take our last break of the hour. When we come back, a continued look at Aqueduct for this afternoon. Stay tuned.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right, the 2013 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes and a seat at the 2014 National Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month, the Capital Cup on December 7th. So sign up today online at capitalotb.com or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook. And don't forget our Showviver series, Capital OTB's online handicapping contest.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. With a newly designed and engineered internet wagering platform, enhanced video streaming, additional funding options, and 3 new individual wagering opportunities, CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. Combine that with our all-new mobile website. You have 2 of the most powerful, innovative, and advanced wagering platforms available today. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report for this Thursday morning. Continuing now our look at Aqueduct for this afternoon with their race number 6, which is a state-bred maiden claimer at the 35,000 level. 2-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs.
And Seth, you know, we mentioned when you did Churchill Downs, all these maiden claiming races, it's always a good time to try to take a shot with a first-time starter, and that's what I'm doing today in the Aqueduct 6 race. I'm going to go 4, 8, and 9 here. The number 4, Here Comes Stoney. This is a firster by Bustin' Stones, trained by Luke Levine, owned by our good friend Roddy Valente, who obviously he owned that nice racehorse, Bustin' Stones, who's doing a pretty good job as a sire also. And just some real solid gate work. She's 10-1 in the morning line. Very solid works, especially for this level. You know, I don't need to see bullet works, but these are very, very solid. The only thing that I noticed when looking at her workout pattern, that there must be a gate move somewhere since August 16th is the only one that's showing on here that didn't appear. Maybe the clockers didn't catch. Because from September 27th to October 23rd, almost a month, there was no listed works. I'm speculating that somewhere in that time frame she had another gate work. So again, I think it's just a good time to try to take a chance with a first-time starter. These Bustin' Stones are always speedy, so let's put Here Comes Stoney on top, 10-1 the morning line. For second, I'm going to go with the number 8, Lucky Nancy E, dropping down from maiden special weight, state-bred maiden special weight on the turf. Never really threatened in any of her 4 starts. She is a daughter of Disco Rico, who I remember I was stabled at Pimlico the same time that he was there, trained by Laurie Testerman. I had a nice turf horse, stake horse, and I would always back up, and we'd kind of stand there, and we'd always stand right next to Disco Rico, kind of 2 nice older classy horses. We'd just stand there, and they'd watch all the horses go by. So I've always been a big fan of Disco Rico. He's the son of City Dancer, and his horses have run well on the turf, but I think they can run well in the dirt also. Let's put Lucky Nancy E in the second spot. And for third, I'm going to go with the number 9, Manhattan Gin. Displayed a little bit of early foot in her debut on October 27th. Couldn't hang with them at the maiden special weight level, but I think she's going to benefit a great deal from that start, just having a race under her belt with the experience and the conditioning. Now she's dropping and switching back to the dirt. Let's put her in the third spot at 10-1. So 4, 8, and 9 in the Aqueduct 6th race.
7th at Aqueduct this afternoon is a plain vanilla claimer. Claiming tags $20,000, 3-year-olds and up. They will go a mile on the turf.
I went 2, 6, and 10 here. The number 2, Mississippi Duel. Battled hard in a state-bred allowance in his previous start. Faded a little bit and finished 4th that day. But now is back in for the $20,000 level. So before that, 2 starts at the $20,000 levels equaled 2 wins. Does have quite a bit of early foot, and I think from an inside post, breaking from the 2-hole, I think Mississippi Duel has a very good chance just to wire this field and just, you know, go right to the lead and not be challenged and be able to get the job done. Second, I'm going to go with the number 6, Thomas Hill. You know, I really need Thomas Hill to run the race 3 back on September 13th, where he was, you know, for 20,000 beaten, got the job done, and then, you know, hasn't done an awful lot since. They took him out. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong horse. 3 starts back. I'm looking at I can't even read my own writing sometimes. The number 6, Thomas Hill, 3 starts back I need to run, and since then they've kind of ran him over his head, $62,000 level, and then a kind of an entry-level allowance race back into the $20,000 level. Let's put him in the second spot. And for third, the number 10, Liquidity Trap. Let's put him in the third spot. He's probably the only one in the body of the race that's actually exiting a winning effort, and that was for $16,000 with a beaten race. And again, we don't know exactly what that B means, but I'm assuming it was probably a never won 3 lifetime. Got the job done that day, so from $16,000 to $20,000 is not an awful big move up, and stretching out a little bit shouldn't hurt him. 2, 6, and 10, I need to learn to read my own writing.
I'm right there with you much of the time, so don't feel bad. It was Mormino when I came in the other day who said he wanted, while you and he were doing the Friday show, I was passing him a note who was on my show later,
right.
And he said, am I going to be able to read your handwriting? Because us lefties have to, and maybe that's true.
And the older I get, the worse it gets.
All right, the 8th race today at Aqueduct. State-bred optional claiming event, tags 35,000, non-winners of 2 other than is the condition. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, the 1-turn mile.
4, 5, and 6 here. The number 4, Royal Suspicion. This is a New York bred that spent her summer at Parks. Then the last out, she was at Monmouth Park. And she's done quite well for trainer Jimmy Ryerson, who I think does a very, very good job. You know, it's been running in $16,000 starter races at Parks, and it had pretty successful years. You know, accumulated almost $100,000 primarily at Parks. But now this New York bred is coming back to New York to take on this, basically a second level allowance race, because none of those starter allowance races count as far as being eligible for this condition. And Royal Suspicion looks like she likes the mile distance. She's got 13 starts, 2 wins, 4 seconds, and 3/3. So that's 9 times out of 13 starts it's been in the money. I think it's a real good time to come back with New York breds to try to get those big pots. This one's a $69,000 pot. So good time to come back. Solid form over at Parks all this summer. For second, I'll go with the number 5, Motion Lounge. The last 2 have been off the turfer, including a win last time. She's beaten my third choice, Shestone Sis, at 7 furlongs before that. But you know what? Like I said, her last 2 races have been off the turfers, and those competition can be a little bit softer than if they were stayed on the turf. So I'll put her in the second spot. Like I said, she lost to Shestone Sis 3 starts back at 7 furlongs. My third choice, Shestone Sis, I think a mile may be a touch too far for her. She has won at that distance, but I don't think she's going to get a very easy lead today. Hopefully Roddy Valente wins in a race earlier in the card than that first-time starter, but I think Shestone Sis with a little bit of pressure early may not be able to hang on. I'll go 4, 5, and 6 in the Aqueduct 8th race.
Finale today at Aqueduct is a maiden claimer, $25,000 tags. These are New York State bred 3-year-olds and up. They'll go a mile. They were scheduled for a mile on the turf. They're off the turf.
They are off the turf, so the changes that you'll see, the picks you'll see on our website if you go there, obviously I've changed them. I'm going to go 5, 15, and 16. The number 5 Privatized I put on top. This horse has been running on the dirt, so whether or not Leah Giamardi was just very, very astute in putting this horse in the body of the race, wouldn't get an outside post, thinking they would come off. Is dropping down for the maiden $25,000 level after competing at the maiden special weight level. 2 starts back was a distant second, but I would have to think Leah is going to probably keep this son of Corinthian into the race, because almost all of his starts have been on the dirt. And again, if he's in, I think he, with that drop down from maiden special weight, should be able to get the job done. And then for second and third, I did go out to the main track only horses, because most of the horses in the body of this race only are showing halfway decent turf form. None of them really show any good dirt form other than Privatized. The number 15, 10 Ed, third in state bred maiden race for $20,000 last time. This is $25,000, basically the same level. And No Nukes, the number 16, I'll put in the third spot. 0 for 10 lifetime, but should be able to hit the board today. 5, 15, and 16 in the off-the-turf Belmont 9th race.
That'll wrap things up for the Handicappers Report for this Thursday morning. Don't forget, there's plenty of action on the network this afternoon. Besides Aqueduct and Churchill Downs, we'll kick things off with Finger Lakes, then move on to Aqueduct and Laurel, Churchill, Hawthorne, Hollywood a little later this afternoon, Penn National early in the evening, as well as Delta Downs, Yonkers, Woodbine, and then later on, Australia A and Australia B. Also, we always invite you to visit the website, capitalotb.com. Keeps you up to date on all the goings-on here at Capital OTB, but you can also pick up our selections each and every day. Handicappers Report link over there on the right-hand side of the page. And don't forget, now, if you want to make a bet, you go to capitalotbbet.com, capitalotbbet.com. That's our new wagering platform. It is state-of-the-art, as that says. I've been on it now for a few weeks, ever since it launched, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Hopefully you're all enjoying it as well.
Very easy to navigate. Yeah. Very, very easy.
And you can kind of keep your eyes on a number of different tracks at the same time. If you do have any issues, there are the customer service contacts. So by all means, let them know if you have any questions or thoughts. All right, that's going to wrap things up for the Handicappers Report for Thursday afternoon. We're here every morning at 9 a.m. Hopefully we gave you some good advice for this afternoon. So good luck at the races. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.